All right, everybody, we appreciate y'all joining us again on Agency Shop Talk. My name is Tyler Woodall. Today, we have got a special guest that has had quite a few requests for us to interview. Joseph, do you want to tell us a little bit about you and Sembley? What you got going on?
Hi, everyone. My name is Joe Ems. I am co-founder and director of sales over here at Sembley. So we help to simplify Accord Forms, sub apps, just overall intake, and then populating those applications, and then using AI and other tools to help simplify that for you. So our main goal is to cut down the amount of manual entry and duplicate entry that typically goes into that process. So that's what we've been had our heads down and just working on for the past couple of years.
That's awesome. How'd you arrive here? What's your background? How'd you get into insurance?
Yeah. So, like many other people here, I grew up in an insurance family. My dad is an agent. My uncle is an agent. My dad is still holding on to the book of business. He's not letting that thing go. So, I actually initially out of school went into finance, and I worked on that side a little bit more. And then over time, as many of us who grew up in insurance families that say we're never going to go work in insurance, it started eating away at me, and I made my move over. So I have a very similar kind of origin story to a lot of the people out there.
That's cool. That's sweet. All right, so I would assume what's the book of business look like for your family? Is it focused on commercial? Is that how you got started doing this?
No, not at all, actually. So they much heavier on personal lines. I didn't really get too much exposure to the commercial side working directly with my dad. I kind of started to blaze my own trail there, which eventually ended me up with Chubb. So I actually went and I worked with Chubb for a little while on the relation side between Chubb
Mhm.
and the agencies that were appointed with them. They were rolling out a new product on the employee benefit side, which is where I was brought in to kind of be a regional manager working with agencies in that region, getting them to kind of move over in and ideally start running some of that employee benefits. So my exposure with the commercial side, actually, I didn't really get any of that from my dad. A lot of that I kind of learned on my own. And then while I was at Chubb, I ended up connecting with Jeremy, who is our CEO here, who had built some amazing software and he needed some industry expertise in terms of building out this company. And then I went over with Assembly, and it's been history ever since.
That's awesome. That's cool. Okay, so how long has Sembley been in business? And then, I mean, what's it been like so far? And insurance is not an easy industry to break into on the tech side of things. So, how's
Yeah.
it been going?
Yeah, so I think we're a little over 2 years, like around 2.5 years now that we have been up and running. It has been a wild ride, especially coming from the insurance side of it and then going into the tech side of it. Jeremy had a tech background, and our other co-founders have tech backgrounds. I was the one that had never done that before. So for me jumping into this, it was totally different from anything I've ever done in the past. But it's been really cool. One of the things that's been really cool about it is we've really built this company on the feedback that we receive from the agents that we work with, because no one's going to know better than what will make a system more powerful than the agents who are actually using it. So it's really cool being able to go in, sit down with an agency, well, virtually sit down with them over Zoom,
Mhm.
talk to them about what they're doing and how we can help, and then a month later, them come back and say, "Hey, this was great. We'd love if you guys could incorporate this." And then we go back to them a couple weeks later and say, "Hey, that little conversation that we had, by the way, we built that out." So I think that we've had a lot of success over the past couple of years in doing that and really taking what we hear from agents to heart. Another thing that really I think has pushed us in the right direction is the partners that we work with. We went very integration heavy. And we started building out a ton of AMS integration, CRM integrations, things like that, which makes life easier on the agents, just
Yeah.
being able to move that data back and forth, but also hearing feedback from the conferences that we go to, and people who are mutual users between the systems and giving us ideas. So, we definitely want to grow more than we're at right now, and we're on track to do that. But I'm really proud of where we've come over the past couple of years.
That's cool. That's sweet.
Well,
Tell me
thank you.
about the top like 3 to 5 use cases right now that agencies are having success with. Like, is it a commercial lines agency that's having it? help producers complete Accord forms, or where are you guys seeing the most savings on the agency side?
Yeah. It's funny because the answer for this has actually like changed over the years, right? You build a new tool and then people start to use it and say, hey, what if we could do this with that? And then we build a whole different version of something. So um, down to the core offering, it's simplifying Accord forms and supplemental applications. So we have a ton of applications built directly into the system. And when we built it on a single source of truth. So what that means for the agents is when you have questions that overlap from one form to the next, instead of having to actually do any manual re-entry of that data, it will just carry it over from your one form to your next form. And then the other piece in that is anyone who wants to cut down the amount of manual entry beyond just the re-entry, the manual entry on those applications as well. So we have this incredible tool called our Document AI, which will allow you to take any documents that you have relating to your client, or you can request that your client uploads them, like deck pages, loss runs, SOVs, full policies, prior years apps. You can drop them in. Anything that's going to have that data that will pertain to what you're working on, and it will extract that and auto-populate that into your apps for you. So it cuts out a ton of that manual entry. You also have the option to even share questions with your clients. So if I wanted to, I could flag 15 different questions that I need to ask that client, shoot them right over, and when they answer, they'll populate into our intakes. So populating those Accord forms and those sup apps and just making sure that you're not sitting there for hours wasting time on them. That is a huge use case right there. The other piece that is pretty big is our custom intakes, which that is something that's really kind of taken on a life of its own and gotten very popular with agents. So our custom intakes are going to allow you to build out anything you want. It could be a personalized auto quote sheet. It could be a renewal intake that you share with every client at renewal on your personal line side, your commercial line side. You can really build out anything that you want with those. So with those, the cool thing that we did, especially on the commercial line side, is we've built them using this question bank that pulls from all of the questions in the thousands of apps that we have in the system. So let's say I want to build just a simple GL quick quote. I can go in there and select questions that correlate with the 125 and 126. And not only will they be on your little custom intake you created, but when you open up that custom intake, it's going to auto populate those directly onto your apps for you so that you don't have to do any of that re-entry. And it's cool because I see people using them in ways that we didn't really envision them using it. Like we had people asking us pretty early on, hey, can we embed this in our website? And like, all right, well, let's build a tool where we're going to generate the embed code for you for an iframe. And now tons of people are embedding them on their websites as that get a quote area. There was someone I was speaking with today who says it is their internal quote sheet. Every time they get a new call
Wow.
from a prospect, they jump in and they type into there. That way they can push it back for these guys, push it back into Hawksoft or
Mhm.
push it into the apps that they need. So the two pieces I'd say that really hit home are, do you hate Accord forms and sub apps, which a lot of people, the answer is yes. And do you want to standardize your intake and create like a broken down intake process that is going to prevent you from having to ever re-enter that information or having to the thing that I see with it is a lot of people, they'll have these intake processes that they're very disjointed, right? One person just writes something on their notepad,
Yep.
someone types into a Word file, someone does email back and forth. This allows you to just condense that into one place where it prevents so much confusion. And I think like a strong submission always starts with the general intake. Like you're doing that field underwriting right there. If you want to have a great submission that's high quality and your underwriter's going to love you for what you send over, it boils down to the intake. So if that's something you're interested in, right there as well.
I love that. I made that one of our standard operating procedures in my agency where, regardless of, let's say a client calls in, they email in, it's a referral, whatever, every single client that comes into the agency, you do not enter it in agency Zoom. You fill out our quote intake form, and that's what brings it in. That
Yeah.
way, the same data comes in the same way every single time. So I love that. And that's kind of a single source of truth as well. Just look, this intake form, that is how stuff comes into the agency. It allows us to track it. So I think that's really cool. You guys are kind of addressing that problem and that need in the industry.
Yeah.
Tell me about can you talk about what are some cool things you guys have coming down the pipeline or what you guys are hoping to fix next?
Yeah, there are a couple of things that we have in the works right now. One thing that's going to be out very soon, I think it's going to be next Monday, is we're doing a V2 to our document AI tool, which is just going to increase the amount of power that it has within there. Um, just the amount of data that we can pull. Right now, it pulls a ton of data, but sometimes there's little weird niche things that, the AI doesn't always recognize. We're looking to perfect that tool and be able to pull any information in from there. So that is going to be out next week. So that's coming very soon. The other thing that we have is that same idea of being able to gather all of your data in one place and then say, hey, I'm going to send it to my management system. I'm going to send it into my Accord forms and sub apps. Or on the other end, with the standard market, send it into a carrier website. Because I know that's another massive headache for agents out there
Yeah.
having to from carrier A, filled out, carrier B, filled out, and so on and so forth. So we are in the process now of building our next big AI tool, which will allow you to push that data into your carrier sites without you having to do the manual entry. So right now it's early July. We're thinking that within the next 6 to 8 weeks, we'll probably have that ready to go.
That's
So that
awesome.
is the next one.
Is that going to be solely commercial, solely personal lines, starting
No,
on both?
yeah, that's going to be it'll go either way. So you could do it with commercial lines, personal lines. So that the idea is being able to get it wherever you want. I mean, even if we're talking about like an online hosted rater, like an Easy Links, like you log into a website for Easy Links. Well, we don't have a direct integration with Easy Links, but that will essentially serve as an integration to push that into your rater as well. But if you can bypass the rater and just go right to the site and get your rates, then might
Yeah.
might streamline that process a little bit.
No, that's sweet. I love that. That's cool, man.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's say you've got an agency owner. Insurance is notoriously slow moving on tech. If somebody's listening to this right now, what are some common headaches, pain points, et cetera, that they probably feel in their agency that would let them know, okay, I need to give these guys a call?
Yeah.
Like, where's that trigger?
Yeah, there's a couple that I mean, just from hopping on calls all the time with new agents that are coming in, um, I always ask people up front, like, because we do handle a couple of different things, and people come to us for different reasons. So I ask everyone, hey, well, what is it that you guys are looking to do? Number one answer to this day is still we need to speed up our cord form and sub app process. Right now, it is just eating up so much time. I have CSRs, producers just wasting so much time on the process of filling these out. So it is a simple problem that a lot of agencies have, and we've provided a solution that definitely can help save time. There was an agency we spoke with recently who said that in terms of the time cost for them, it cut down by 70% when they came over to Sembley dealing with their record forms and sub apps. So if that is something that is still taking you guys too long, I know a lot of agencies out there, you'll do it in your management system. Some agencies are still typing into a PDF, or there are other systems out there. I'd say it's definitely worth taking a look at Sembley here and seeing what we have to offer in terms of how much time we can save you there. So that's a big one. If you don't like your Accord Form Stuff apps, it's taking too long, give us a call. The other side I would say is the process of standardizing that intake. And I know we just kind of hit on this, but the intake process I think is so important for agencies because that is your information pipeline. And not only does it benefit you to standardize that and speed that process up, but it also allows for your clients to have a better experience on their end. I think some of the most successful agencies I see out there focus a lot on client experience and making things as easy on the client as they possibly can. So if you can cut down that back and forth between your clients, you have to go back and forth on 3 phone calls, 5 text messages, 4 emails before you get everything that you need. This is definitely a solution that can help simplify that process for you as well. So if you are finding that your intake is a little all over the place, if you're finding that your record forms and your sub apps are taking you too long, that is a big piece to it. And then it all ties back up with the integrations we have into the management systems, because there are a lot of people out there who have standardized their intake process, and maybe you have an awesome intake that you've created with a non-insurance specific intake software, but now you're having trouble getting it back into your management system. Well, the integrations that we have are going to simplify that process and get them back into your management system without you having to do all that manual entry.
That's cool. I love that. That's awesome.
Thank you.
All right. So let's say an agent hears this, wants to reach out. What's the best way for them to do so? I assume website. Should they reach out to you? Who do they talk to? What's that process look like to get started?
Yeah. So if you go to sembley.com, sembley.com, there is a button to schedule a demo call. That demo is with me. You're not going to anyone else on the team. You'll be speaking directly with me. That is something that I want to hold on to as long as I can and create these relationships with the agents that we work with. So you'll speak directly with me. I'm more than happy to give you a one-on-one walkthrough on everything Sembley can do, talk to you about your current processes and see where we can fit in. So I'd say that's the number one way to do it. Reach out to me through sembley.com and click hey, book a demo.
That's cool. All right. So, personal question. This is usually one that I ask. Tell me about how you personally define success. What's that look like?
Yeah, I love that question. I think it's a really cool question because for me, that's something that's evolved over time. I think for a lot of people, especially when you're younger and you're not making a lot of money, success is defined by how much money you make. Um, And then I think as you get older and your ideas change and your benchmarks change, that answer changes. And I'm sure in 5 years from now, it's going to be different from the answer I give you today. But for me, my idea of success right now is ensuring that whoever I'm working with, whether it's a partner or whether it is a friend or it is a prospect or it is my cousin. And this, I'm outside of business, right? Let's say someone calls me up and they say, "Hey, man, I'm moving next week. Can you come and help me?" Sure. It's just ensuring that whoever you're working with in whatever aspect that is just like truly satisfied with whatever they're asking you to do. I think that especially these days with like I shouldn't be saying this as the tech guy, but with all these advances in tech, it's so easy to put things onto tech. And not as much in the personal life as it is in the business life, but it's so easy to throw it onto tech and just kind of like push that off and like, all right, I'll let the tech satisfy them. But I do think even someone coming from a tech company, that personal satisfaction guarantee that you can give someone and like kind of giving somebody your word and working with them on that, it goes such a long way. It's almost not entirely forgotten about, but it's not what it was maybe 20, 30 years ago. So that's something that my dad always just kind of hammered into me growing up. And as I get older and I find myself turning more into my dad and looking more like my dad, I kind of have put that as a benchmark for me as something I define as a
Yeah,
success.
I definitely think relationships are the key. So, yeah, you're hitting right on it.
Yeah.
Outside of work, what type of stuff do you enjoy? What are your interests, hobbies, stuff like
Yeah.
that?
How much time do we got, man? No, no, I have a lot of hobbies, man. So I love golf, play golf as much as I can. One that's a little bit more outside of the box is I do Muay Thai and I compete in Muay Thai. So if if you ever see a video of me punching somebody in the face online, that is in a practice session or something like that. So that's something that I've been really into for a little while. Love movies too. Love watching movies and then hanging out with my fiance. And I'm a
Very
big
cool.
sports fan too. I love watching sports. I've been having the World Cup on nonstop. If it's not the World Cup, it's basketball. If it's not basketball, it's football. If it's not football, it's baseball, and the list just goes on and on. So
We're missing
big.
a game right now. Portugal and Senegal are 20 minutes in,
I've checked the updates
or
twice.
Portugal and Spain, my
Yeah,
bad.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I've got my updates popping up in the corner.
Love that. That's sweet. Well, cool, man. Well, I appreciate your time today, everybody. Y'all reach out, check out Sembley. I know that we at Scale Ops, we've got a lot of agents, so this is something that's going to be super valuable for. So we're going to be sending this out to our clients list. But again, anybody listening, y'all check them out. Give Joe a call, and yeah, we'll see y'all in the next video.
Yeah. And one thing I'll throw out there before we wrap up, anyone, if you guys do book a demo with us, it's going to ask you a little add notes in for that call. If you put Scale Ops in there, you guys will get a 15% discount for the first year. So make sure to drop that in there. All right.
Sweet. Appreciate it, man.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks, y'all.